As I stepped into the darkened woods, a shiver raced down my spine, an involuntary reaction to the eerie atmosphere that surrounded me. The moon's feeble light struggled to penetrate the dense canopy, casting eerie shadows that seemed to come alive with each rustling of leaves. With every step, the forest seemed to close in around me, the silence broken only by the distant hooting of an owl. My heart pounded in my chest as a sense of unease settled deep within me. Was I really alone out here? Suddenly, I caught a glimpse of movement out of the corner of my eye. My head snapped around, but there was nothing there. Just the trees, the moonlight, and the haunting feeling that I was being watched. I tried to shake off the fear, convincing myself it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. But then, I heard it. A faint whisper carried by the wind. My name, whispered over and over again in a ghostly tone. Panic surged through me, and I quickened my pace, my footsteps crunching on the forest floor. As I moved forward, the air grew colder, and the moonlight seemed to dim. My heart raced, and my breath came in shallow gasps as the feeling of being pursued intensified. Glancing behind me, my eyes widened in horror. A figure emerged from the shadows, a translucent specter with hollow eyes fixed on me. I stumbled over tree roots and fallen branches, my heart pounding so loudly it drowned out all other sounds. The whispering grew louder, more urgent, as if the ghostly figure was inching closer with each passing second. My mind raced, trying to think of a way to escape this nightmare. I pushed myself harder, the branches scratching at my arms and face, as the figure behind me seemed to gain ground. The forest seemed to twist and turn, the once familiar path becoming a labyrinth of darkness and despair. I could feel its icy breath on my neck, its presence closing in on me. Just when I thought I couldn't run any longer, I burst through the tree line and stumbled into a small clearing. The moonlight was stronger here, revealing the outline of an old, decrepit cabin. Desperation fueled my movements as I rushed towards it, praying for a safe haven. With trembling hands, I fumbled for the cabin's door handle, and it creaked open to reveal a dimly lit interior. The air was heavy with must and decay, but it was better than facing that relentless specter in the woods. I collapsed onto the floor, my chest heaving as I caught my breath. But then, I heard it again. The whispering, now just beyond the cabin walls. The figure was outside, its ghostly form illuminated by the moonlight, its eyes fixed on me through the window. My heart raced as I realized there was no escape. The cabin was no sanctuary. It was a prison. The figure's whispers grew louder, an unintelligible cacophony of voices that seemed to echo in my mind. As its icy fingers brushed against the window pane, I knew that this was where my journey ended, stalked through the woods at night by a ghostly figure, forever trapped in its haunting grasp. I saw a shadowy figure lurking in the shadows, just beyond the reach of the streetlight. My instincts screamed at me to run, to get away from this person who seemed to be following me. But I didn't want to make it obvious that I was scared. I tried to tell myself that maybe it was just a passerby, or a figment of my imagination. But every time I looked back, the figure was still there, like a haunting presence that refused to be shaken off. My mind raced, trying to come up with a plan to lose them or find safety. I ducked into a convenience store, my heart pounding as I pretended to browse the aisles. Glancing out the window, I saw the figure standing across the street, watching me. Panic surged through me as I realized that I was being stalked by a stranger, someone who seemed determined to keep tabs on my every move. Leaving the store, I walked briskly down the street, my footsteps echoing in the silence. The feeling of being pursued intensified, and I could feel the weight of the figure's gaze on my back. I was trapped in a nightmare, with no escape in sight. I turned down another alley, hoping to lose my pursuer in the maze of narrow passages. But as I glanced back, my heart sank. The figure was still there, doggedly following me. My breath came in short gasps as I felt the walls closing in around me. I had to do something, anything to shake them off. I burst out of the alley and into a bustling main street, hoping that the crowds would provide some semblance of safety. But as I weaved through the people, my heart froze. There they were, right in the midst of the crowd, still fixated on me. I couldn't outrun them, couldn't hide. Every corner I turned, every attempt to escape, they were there, like a predator toying with its prey. The terror grew with every passing second, as I realized that this was not a coincidence. I was being hunted by someone who knew exactly what they were doing. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I turned to confront them, my voice shaking as I demanded to know what they wanted. The figure stepped into the light, revealing a face that was both familiar and utterly twisted with malice. It was someone I had known, someone I had trusted. Their chilling smile sent shivers down my spine as they whispered, "You can't escape me. I'll always be watching." And in that moment, I knew that the nightmare was far from over. I was trapped in a terrifying game of cat and mouse, stalked by a human whose obsession had turned them into a monster. The woods around me were silent, save for the rustling of leaves in the gentle breeze. I had always found solace in these woods, a place of peace and tranquility. But tonight, something was different. An eerie feeling settled over me as I walked deeper into the darkness. My heart pounded in my chest, the sound echoing in my ears as I tried to shake off the unease that had taken hold of me. Every snap of a twig, every distant hoot of an owl, seemed to send shivers down my spine. I told myself it was just my imagination running wild, that there was nothing to fear. But then, I heard it. A low growl that seemed to reverberate through the very ground beneath my feet. I froze, my breath catching in my throat as I scanned the shadows for the source of the sound. The air grew heavy with an unnatural silence, and a feeling of dread settled deep within me. As I cautiously took another step forward, a pair of glowing eyes pierced through the darkness, fixing on me with an intensity that sent a chill down my spine. The eyes belonged to a massive creature, its form obscured by the shadows, but its presence unmistakable. My mind raced, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Before I could react, the creature lunged at me with startling speed, its claws extended, glinting in the faint moonlight. Instinct kicked in, and I dove to the side, narrowly avoiding its attack. The impact of its landing sent tremors through the ground, and I could hear the earth shake as it readied itself for another assault. Fear and adrenaline surged through my veins as I scrambled to my feet, my heart racing as I tried to put distance between myself and the monstrous creature. It was like something out of a nightmare, a twisted amalgamation of fur, scales, and sharp, gleaming teeth. I ran through the underbrush, branches scratching at my skin as I pushed myself to my limits, the creature's growls and snarls echoing behind me. Every glance over my shoulder revealed its relentless pursuit, a relentless force of nature that seemed determined to tear me apart. I stumbled into a small clearing, my breath ragged as I tried to catch my bearings. But there was no escape. The creature was closing in, its hot breath on my neck. I turned to face it, my heart pounding in my chest as I prepared to make my last stand. Just as the creature lunged once more, a blinding light erupted from the darkness, engulfing both me and the creature in a brilliant radiance. The creature let out a piercing roar of agony before disappearing into thin air, leaving behind only echoes of its growls. Breathing heavily, I stared at the empty space where the creature had been, my mind reeling from the surreal experience. A figure emerged from the light, clad in mysterious robes, their face obscured by a hood. With a voice both soothing and ancient, they spoke of ancient battles between realms, and how I had unwittingly stumbled upon the battleground. As the figure faded into the shadows, leaving me alone in the clearing, I realized that the woods I had once thought of as safe held secrets far beyond my understanding. And as the moonlight danced through the trees, I knew that the memory of that night would haunt me forever, a reminder that even in the tranquility of nature, darkness could lie just beneath the surface.